Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the JIRCAS International Symposium 2025. We warmly welcome all of you joining us here in Japan and those participating online via streaming. And my name is Yuko Mamiya, and I'll be your MC for today's symposium. So to begin with, please join me in welcoming Mr. Osamu Koyama, President of JIRCAS, will deliver the opening greeting on behalf of the organizer. So please welcome him with a big round of applause. Mr. Koyama, please.
Good afternoon, and welcome to the JIRCAS International Symposium 2025. I'm very pleased to be able to hold this symposium with many participants here in person and online worldwide. Looking back about 4 years ago, you showed that video. In November 2021, we held an international symposium entitled The Role of Science, Technology and Innovation in Achieving Sustainable Food Systems in the ASEAN Monsoon Region, a platform for international collaboration. Similar to the title today. At that time, due to the spread of COVID-19, the symposium was held entirely online. At the symposium, the Japan International Research Center for Agricultural Sciences, my institute, a national research and development agency, and Japan's core leading research organization for international collaborative research in the field of agriculture, forestry, and fisheries, and discussed what my institute can do or should do based on its 50 years of experience to strengthen the cooperation within the international community towards realizing a sustainable food system in the Asian monsoon region. Following that discussion, that symposium, we, in April 2022, 4 years ago, three and a half years ago, we started a Green Asia project aiming to accelerate the implementation of technologies that contribute to both improving productivity and sustainability in the Asian monsoon region. As you all know, in the 4 years since then, various events have occurred, including geopolitical concerns such as the war in Ukraine, and the situation surrounding the transformation of sustainable agriculture, forestry, and fisheries and food systems, which is our major common theme to all of our humanity, has changed dramatically. However, as originally planned, the Green Asia project has continued to compile relevant information on the technology, scalable technologies for the region, and conducted on-site technical trials with research institutions and related organizations in the Asia monsoon region, and taking into account the the variable opinions of the International Scientific Advisory Board we established in the project. which consists of prominent scientists worldwide and leaders of research institutes in Asia Monsoon region. We have also made use of various international conferences to disseminate the information about projects' results. Today's symposium, you can see the title, Accelerating Application of Agricultural Technologies in the Asia Monsoon Region, Taking Stock and the Way Forward for Enhancing Production Potentials and Sustainable Food System. It's a kind of follow-up of the symposium 3.5 years ago. This is supported by the Ministry of Agriculture, Forestry and Fisheries, MAF, Japan, which made the project a reality. And the National Agriculture and Food Research Organization, NARO, the Forestry and Forest Products Research Institutes, FFPRI, and Japan Fisheries Research and Education Agency, FRA, and Japan Intellectual Support Network in Agricultural Sciences, JIRCAS. All four institutions have contributed to promote the project. So this symposium will be a valuable opportunity to deepen discussions on the lessons being learned through the implementation of the project over the years, and on future cooperation and collaboration in international agriculture, forestry and fisheries research involving my institute, JIRCAS, and many other related organizations. The lesson learned, for example, the Green Asia Project's efforts built a bridge between government and science, so-called science policy interface. We learned a lot in this area, and to collect scalable technology and in an all-Japan basis and consolidate them and establish a system for disseminating information about them internationally. Also, we learned a lot. So this experience will be useful to not only for the region, but also for the beyond the Asia Monsoon regions. I'd like to express my sincere gratitude. I should say very early in the beginning, our guest, Mr. Teruya Sakaida, Secretary General of the Agriculture, Forestry and Fisheries Research Council Secretariat of MAF. And our today's keynote speakers, Dr. Stefanos Fotiou of the United Nations Food System Coordination Hub, and Dr. Pham Minh of the ASEAN Secretariat, and Mr. Hideki Hagiwara, the Counselor of the Minister's Secretariat at MAF, and all the session speakers for their cooperation today's JIRCAS International Symposium 2025. The members of the International Scientific Advisory Board I mentioned earlier, who have made significant contribution through their advice to the operation of the Green Asia project, will be participating either in person or online, and will share their experience with the project. I'd like to express our gratitude to Dr. Pham of China Agricultural University and Dr. Pham Srichayat of Kasasat University, who are here in front of me. I hope this symposium will be a forum for useful information exchange and lively discussion. And I would like to conclude my opening remark with this. Thank you very much.
Mr. Koyama, thank you very much. And next, we would like to welcome Mr. Teruya Sakaida, Director General of the Agriculture, Forestry and Fisheries Research Council Secretariat, Ministry of Agriculture, Forestry and Fisheries, MAF, Japan. He will offer a welcome greetings. Please welcome Mr. Sakaida, please.
皆さん、こんにちは。ただいまご紹介いただきました農林水産省農林水産技術会議事務局の坂井田でございます。本日はこのような場にお招きをいただきまして誠にありがとうございます。さて、世界では人口増加や気候変動の問題の進行により食料自給の不安定化等がますます顕著になりつつあります。この夏は観測史上最も高い平均気温を記録し、また深刻な水不足に見舞われ、日本各地で高温による農作物の生育不良など、農業現場に大きな影響を及ぼしているところでございます。また、海外でも極端な高温や干ばつなど異常気象の発生により大きな被害がもたらされていると聞いております。このように我が国を含め世界的な課題である気候変動に対応した持続可能な農業生産を実現し、食料安全保障の確保を進めていくことは非常に重要な課題でございます。我が国では昨年、農政の基本的方向を定める食料農業農村基本法が制定後25年を経て初めて改正され、本年4月にはそれに対応した5カ年の基本計画が策定されました。これらの中では、環境と調和の取れた食料システムの確立が新たな農政の柱として位置づけられ、日 ASEAN 緑協力プランの枠組みも活用し、BNI、AWD、それから稲いもち病対策など、我が国が有する優れた農業技術の実証をさらに拡大するとともに、グローバルサウス地域へも展開することとしております。本日の JIRCAS 国際シンポジウム2025には、UNFS コーディネーションハブのフォトゥ事務局長、ASEAN 事務局食料農業林業担当のMinh課長、また国際農研が推進するグリーンアジアを支える国際諮問委員会の研究者の皆様方にも基調講演や議論をいただくと伺っております。本シンポジウムが持続可能な農業生産の実現に向けて様々な観点から議論を深められる良い機会となることを心から期待しております。最後になりましたが、本日のこのシンポジウムが実りあるものとなりますこと、そしてご出席の皆様のますますのご活躍とご健勝を記念いたしまして、簡単ではございますけれども、私の挨拶とさせていただきます。本日は誠におめでとうございます。
坂井田様、ありがとうございました。Mr. Sakaida, thank you very much. Thank you very much for waiting. And please welcome our first keynote speaker, Dr. Stefanos Fotiou, Director of the UN Food Systems Coordination Hub. Dr. Fotiou, please come to the stage and please take it away. Please welcome him a big round of applause, everyone.
Thank you very much, Excellencies, President of JIRCAS, Assistant Deputy Minister from MAF, Dear colleagues, first of all, I would like to thank very much JIRCAS for inviting me in this international symposium. And I want to take the opportunity to highlight and commend Japan on its efforts on advancing food system transformations, not only at the national level with the Midori strategy, but also at the regional and global level. What I would like to do in the next 7 or 10 minutes is to explain where is science within the global agenda of food system transformations, what we have done the last 4 years after the UN Food System Summit, and what are some things that we are urgently needing. One first question is why science matters now more than ever. And I'm not going to present all this evidence here that you know better than me, that we have a huge failure on addressing the Sustainable Development Goals, climate change, biodiversity loss, hunger, obesity, and other negative implications of the unsustainable development are happening more and more every day. And to go to something that is very close to my heart, to the environment, we see that as of 2025, 7 out of the 9 planetary boundaries have been crossed. We are in a pathway that if we don't change drastically, and drastically means if we don't change it from yesterday, it will not guarantee a future for our children and our grandchildren. Especially in the area of food systems, the implications are very big. First of all, most of the planetary boundaries, from biodiversity loss to the ocean acidification, are connected in the way that we produce, process, and consume our food. But also we have seen that we have what I will call the global food paradox. From the one side, we have a rising hunger. So according to FAO data, more than 700 million people that they could not afford to eat every day. But on the other side, we have a rising obesity epidemic. So millions of people that they don't receive enough food, and millions of people that they eat too much food, or they eat food that they make this obese. On the one side, we do have the advance of technology and innovation that has created very fertile lands. But on the other, we see a lot of countries, especially in Africa, to depend on imports to cover their basic staple food needs. And when it comes to what we call healthy diets, it is unaffordable for more than 3 billion people. And the problem with healthy diets is that the cost of a healthy diet is increasing every year, and is increasing disproportionately for the people of low income. So there has never been a place that science is needed more than ever. But we need a kind of different science, not a science that informs, but we need science that demands action. And this is, I think, a shift we need to see in scientific communities, in research councils, in research projects. In the call for action of the UN Secretary General that we had in Addis Ababa, in the UN Food System Summit +4, there was a very big call that science should demand action. For many years now, unfortunately, science is compromised in many political processes, but this should stop happening. And there's a big challenge to translate this knowledge into very concrete and practical policies and practices. I come myself from the academic career. I'm in the UN for 20 years, but before joining the UN, I was a scientist. And I've seen that many times we don't speak the same language between scientists and policymakers. And of course, we need science not only to inform on new technological advances, but to tell us about trade-offs, anticipate risk, and design what we'll call equitable solutions. So science is very much embedded in the UN Food System Summit process, and actually its role is increasing. In 2021, the Secretary General was talking about financing for science and research. In 2023, he stressed out the need to improve capacities on research, data, and technology. And in 2025, in Addis Ababa, he declared science and innovation as prerequisites for transformation. So no transformation will happen if we don't have the science that demands action. There's a lot of opportunities to intensify science. I would like to mention 3 of them that I think they are extremely crucial for the sustainability of the food systems and the planet. One is on the decarbonization of agriculture. There are different estimations on how much agriculture and food systems contribute to CO2 emissions. Some of these estimations on the food systems nexus, they go up to 1/3 of greenhouse gases emissions. But we do have a lot of technologies that they can contribute on them, but we need to streamline them. Then on digital and smart farming, and I would say the use of digital technologies for innovation in agriculture, and third on sustainable fisheries, because they are related with our effort to manage marine resources, which are declining rapidly. And if these are some thematic topics, there's one extremely important cross-thematic topic, which I will call equity-sensitive approaches for science, that they are essential to ensure just transitions. In my office, the UN Food System Coordination Hub, we have expanded the idea of science policy interfaces. And we try to support science policy society interfaces, because we need to listen the stakeholders, we need to listen the youth, we need to listen the private sector, we need to listen the women when we design these policies. So how we embed in the UN Food System Coordination Hub the science, we have an independent advisory board, the Scientific Advisory Committee, in which Professor Pham is actually a co-chair, and it produces independent briefs for accountability. We do have, as I told you, piloting science policy society interfaces at national level, and we leverage foresight. We use a lot of foresight and futures thinking to manage uncertainty and complexity. Some of our work, the policy briefs we have done on planetary boundaries and on equity and governance and data. We have local science policy society interfaces in countries like Vietnam, Cameroon, Philippines, Chad, and we would very much like to expand. We created a youth leadership program that coaching 85 youth leaders from over 50 countries all over the world, creating 3 regional networks for Asia, Pacific, Africa, and Latin America. And of course, we have the global convenings, especially the food system stock-taking moments, in which Japan and specifically JIRCAS has a very strong contribution, and we thank them for this. So let me finish by saying that we do need science in order to have sustainable futures. We need science and technology to secure food, but to also make sure that this is happening within the planetary boundaries, and it's contributing to the One Health approach, the health of the people, the health of the animals, the health of the planet. We need to bring global evidence with local realities, because sometimes we have the ideas that if we take a technology from one part of the world, we can just plug it to another part of the world. And many times it's not working. And we are losing a lot of funds and resources because we try to transfer technologies that they don't work. We need first to adapt these technologies to the local knowledge. The report of Green Asia has really proved out that there's a lot of local knowledge that could be adapted and synchronized and then be applied to solve a lot of problems. I think you have 44 technologies in your recent catalog, and a lot of them actually are coming from technologies that there was a kind of local knowledge. And of course, we need to work all together for equitable, climate resilient, and biodiversity positive food systems. We are very proud that we do work with the government of Japan and with JIRCAS in this endeavor. One more time, congratulate the efforts of Japan and JIRCAS, and thank you very much, and I will be looking forward to the dialogue here. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Fotiou. And we would like to welcome our next keynote speaker, Dr. Pham Minh, Head of the Food, Agriculture and the Forestry Division of the ASEAN Secretariat. So everyone, please welcome Dr. Minh.
Good afternoon. First of all, on behalf of the ASEAN Secretariat, I'd like to thank JIRCAS, Dr. Quang for also inviting us, ASEAN, to attend this. I think that's a very interesting event. I also like to thank Dr. Sakaidas Terias, the Director General of the MAP Japan, and Dr. Hagi Aras for also inviting us. And I think that's Japan also a very close partner of ASEAN. So in our team, right, in the ASEAN Secretariat, at least we have 3 projects now also supported by Japan, and also focus on food, agriculture, and forestries. I particularly also pay attention on one project we call that the ASEAN project on capacity buildings or human resource development. That's also provide lots of capacity training for the member state on the agricultural sectors. And I would like to thank Japan again for the great support to us ASEAN countries. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, my presentation today, right, we also introduce you with ASEAN policies. There are lots of policy in ASEAN, right, focus on the different sectors in agriculture, forestry, fishery, crop livestock. And my presentation today also try to give you the overviews of our policy in the region in the periods 2016 and 2025, which this year is the final years of implementation. And I also set you the priority of ASEAN in post-2025 or 2026, 2030s. The overall pictures of ASEAN will be also given, right? So we have the ASEAN vision for 2016 and 2025. We also have the goals, key action programs, and implementation structure for the priority of the ASEAN regions. I will try to also highlight the priority of ASEAN, how to work with the different partners, including JIRCAS and MAF, for instance. And then we also set you some information on the priority of ASEAN in the years to come. If we look at the ASEAN country, right, ASEAN cooperation in agriculture and forestry started in 1968, where at that time, ASEAN also focused on food production and supplies. At that time, I think that I was not born in 1968, but 10 years later, I also born in 1978. And in that time, right, there was lots of discussion about the food securities and how to ensure food security in the ASEAN regions. At that time, I guess that's the more focus on production, right? Ensure that the quality, the quantity of the product was so good enough for the region to consume. A few years later, in 1997, we also have more areas of cooperation, which also covers the food safety aspect, which also covers the food quality aspect, training extensions, and ASEAN also promote the cooperation in agricultural cooperative. The key body to ensure to monitor the development of ASEAN region is ASEAN senior officer meetings on agriculture, ASEAN Minister on Agriculture and Forestry. We call that as a SOM-AMAF. And the SOM-AMAF also has a meeting every year, 2 times, to discuss about the priority of ASEAN. All the discussion also reported to the ministers, ASEAN Minister on Agriculture and Forestry, which also annually are organized in maybe in September or October of every year. This year also by the end of September and also early October to organize, and we also invite the partner to attend the meeting. I just want to inform you that, right? Recently, also during the AMAP meeting, we also organized the ASEAN-Japan Military Cooperation Ministerial meeting to discuss about the plans, how Japan also can support the ASEAN member state to promote the cooperation, close coordination in the military cooperation plans. And the minister also adopted the revised framework of cooperation, which I believe that a lot of technology from JIRCAS also be introduced. We have now 40 working groups to discuss different issues, right? For instance, here, we also discussed about the food security. ASEAN also discussed about the working crops production, livestock production, research and development, training extension, fishery, forestries, and all the kind related to the product in agricultural sectors. So if we look at the soil committee, right, we have more than 12 products to be discussed, say coconut, palm oil, coffee, tea, peppers, which are all the priorities product of ASEAN. For the vision of 2016 and 2025, right, I want to also give you some basic information because I feel that within the 10 years period, the member state also focus on how member state also want to promote how to transform the agricultural sectors by enhancing qualities and quantity of production with sustainable green technologies. There are lots of things also be conducted within 10 years. Through the working groups on agriculture research and development, the member states come to share the new technology innovation and try to make sure that the technology also be applied to the country is the same condition. The member state also try to ensure the food security and food safety and better nutrition. And I think that's for these areas, there are lots of technology also can be used. For instance now, right, with the support from Japan, I think that's a few years ago, we have the project on GIP, good agricultural practices. We try to make sure that agricultural production also be promoted in a sustainable and resilient manners. And through the information and knowledge from Japan, lots of new technology has been circulated and also shared with the member state. The priority also focus on the small producers and MSME to improve productivity, technologies, and product quality to meet global market. And I believe that lots of activity has been conducted in this field. So basically, it's for the years 2016 and 2025, ASEAN focused on 7 priorities, which also cover forestries, as also mentioned here in the slides. For the 26 and 2030, GCLCs play important role for ASEAN. You know that the 10-year plan already finalized within this year, right? And ASEAN also discussed about the new vision for the region to 2045. Agriculture there also plays an important role in the whole system. And ASEAN also with support from Japan. We also organize servers, forums, and discussion to discuss about what should be the priorities of the region in the post-2025, which we also focus on 5 years. Therefore, ASEAN member states also agree that the visions and the priority of the region should focus on sustainable, resilient, and secure food, agriculture, and forestry sectors, which also contributes to the climate change adaptation and mitigation. I believe that at the beginning of this workshop, right, this event, we also mentioned about the climate change and also the challenge that agriculture also have to address. And for us in ASEAN region, right, we also we consider that climate change is one of the big issues that we also need to address in coming times. The objective of our 5-year plan is to focus on enhancing regional cooperation in food, agriculture, and forestry sectors, promote sustainable agriculture, enhance food security, reduce environmental impacts, and foster innovation and public and private partnership in the ASEAN region. This morning, I also talked with our colleagues from JIRCAS, and I also emphasize that without the private sector, right, it's quite difficult for us to bring technology on the ground. Of course, the project in Green Asia project also plays an important role, right? There are 2 parts here. The first part also focuses on enhanced coordination, cooperation between JIRCAS and international forum and regional forums such as ASEAN and ASEAN Secretariats. And I think that for that part, we also doing very good work. The second part, right, we have the 3 key technologies which focus on AWDs and also focus on rice blast reductions to address the issues, petty thing in ASEAN region. And rice is also one of the important products in ASEAN. We have the big exporter in terms of rice. For instance, we have Vietnam, we have Thailand, Cambodia also export rice, Laos, Myanmar also export rice. And we expected that, right, the project also brings technology to those countries to see how we can address how to reduce impacts of the climate change in the rice sectors, in the paddy fields, and also focus on productivities and qualities. In the 2026 and 2030s, right, ASEAN, we focus on 6 key priorities. The first one is to promote sustainable and regenerative measures. I just want to say to you that last year, ASEAN also adopted the ASEAN Action Plan on Sustainable Agriculture, which we also cover 2 lists of the project. One, the project list of project focus on the countries, where 10 member states also has a priority. So I would suggest, right, JIRCAS also work with individual member states to see how JIRCAS and MAPSAPAN also can support the ASEAN in terms of decarbonization, reduction of harmful chemicals. At the regional levels, we also have the list of projects focused on capacity building and sharing information. So we also encourage JIRCAS and all the partners work with ASEAN secretariats based in Jakarta, Indonesia, to identify what should be the key priority, because I believe that's for the project, right? We have 3 key important technologies that we also want to focus, and this is also a priority of ASEAN. For instance, now, ASEAN also focus on regenerative agriculture, which also covers the water management, soil production, and biodiversity. So I believe that the outcome of the project also can contribute to the water management and the soil preparation, soil health of the ASEAN countries. And I would love to also work further with JIRCAS on how to also introduce the technology to the ASEAN region. ASEAN also focus on fostering the public and private partnership, as I mentioned before, right? Without the partner, without establishing the public and private partnership, it's quite difficult for us to bring the policy of the country, of the region, to the locals on the ground. This afternoon, I also talked with our partners from Ajinomoto, who also have big companies in Thailand. And also we would love to work with you, right, to see how through the military cooperation plan, we also can bring the technologies of Japan to apply in Thailand and in the field, in the pet, not paddy, but also in the cassava fields, and to see how it works, and also we can also share it as a member state. And of course, sustainable forest management, always a priority for the ASEAN region within 5 years, 2026 and 2030s. For the promoting sustainable and regenerative measures, the goal is to achieve the sustainable practices in crop, livestock, fishery, and non-timber forest production by promoting regenerative and circular economies. A lot of people also talking about the regenerative agriculture sectors, agricultures. But what are the scopes and how ASEAN also can work with that? This November, next month, ASEAN also organized the event to discuss about the decarbonizations and the application of digital technologies in Tokyo. And we also would love to invite JIRCAS and all the partners to attend this event, right, from 25th to 27th of November. And ASEAN secretariats also closely work with Ministry of Agriculture, Forestry and Fishery on this event. We also invite different speakers to talk about the regenerative agriculture, decarbonization, and how we can promote the technologies in our field. And I would love to have the speaker from JIRCAS to share information about the Green Asia project. For the decarbonizations and climate resilience in agriculture, the goal is to decarbonize the FEF sectors by implementing climate-smart agriculture and robust adaptation action. It is not easy. When we talk about the decarbonization, right, agriculture, I think that around 30% or so emits from the agriculture production. But how to deal with this issue also not easy. In ASEAN, we try to develop the pilot project. For instance, in Thailand, we also work with the private sectors to bring the technologies to the people, right? And then instead of burning rice straw, the company work with ASEAN, right? Work with Thailand to make it as an alternative. For instance, they also produce the food packaging and even the bio fertilizers. The project already finished within this year, and we also expected that this also can be brings to the other countries. And again, also same is a project for Green Asia, implemented by JIRCAS. We hope that JIRCAS also can bring the outcome, the lesson learned from the field to share the member state in order to reduce emission from agricultural sectors. For the food security and nutrition, the member state also focus on promoting sustainable agricultural methods, increasing the adoption of innovative technologies, and strengthening the food security capacity of youth, women, and other sectors through the research and development. In this case, right, ASEAN also pay attention on how to address the, the issues of attracting youth people to the agricultural sectors. At the same time, we also need to address the aging people in agricultural sectors. I believe that in ASEAN, we also have same situation is Japan, where you try to address the aging farmers and how to attract the young research in the sector. Also, one of the key issues that we also need to work. I believe that this morning, right, you also attend the awards for the young research, also supported by JIRCAS, and I hope that these programs also be introduced to ASEAN regions, where we also want to focus on the young researchers and to attract them to work in the agricultural sectors. For trade and market connectivities, you see that at this point in time, we have a lot of negotiation with different partners. We have ASEAN RCEP, right? ASEAN Regional Comprehensive Partnership, which started a few years ago and now on implementation. We also have ASEAN China's free trade areas. We also have the ASEAN Canada's free trade negotiation discussion, ASEAN India's, ASEAN Plus 3, including Japan, Korea, China's for the opening our market. And in that, right, SPS also one of the key issues that we also want to promote. The strength of the e-certification, e-SPS certification, also one of the things that ASEAN want to work. And I believe that Japan also have very, well-known digital system to exchange the e-certificates. And we hope to also work with Japan on how to exchange the e-certificate of ASEAN and Japan through the single windows. The public and private partnership here is to, the purpose is to leverage on PPP to accelerate the formation of the cooperative and the deployment of digital tech innovation. So as I mentioned before, the private sector always the keys to bring our innovation and technology on the ground. And we also would love to work with the private sector from Japan, right? Where a lot of representatives from the private sector in Japan also come to ASEAN to deliver the, the lessons, the cooperation activities, and how the region also can work with Japan in promoting the technology innovative in the regions. So we also have some mechanisms to work with the private sector. For instance, we have the SOMAMAF, we have the ASEAN Center for Agriculture Research and Development, and we also have different working groups to work on the ground. For forest management, right, sustainable forest management, as usual, the goal is to enhance the sustainable forest management by investing in local communities, strengthen governance, and building resilience to climate change. So again, here, climate change always an important key agenda of ASEAN, and we also we want to work with different partners, JIRCAS, MAPSAPANs, to see how we can address this issue together. For the priority of ASEAN, right? Through the working groups, we have different mechanisms here, right? You have different working groups to work. We also have a stakeholder engagement. We have the relevant stakeholders, government bodies, private sectors, civil society organizations, research institutions, and local communities. So all of us also can work with JIRCAS. And if you also want to work with those organizations, please also come to the ASEAN Secretariat. ASEAN also set up the key performance indicators. For instance, right, we also set up the reduction of GHG emission from the burning crops. And I believe that for the crop burning, JIRCAS through the project also support ASEAN in order to have the good practices and support the farmer to reduce the burning. And you see that by 2030, one of the expectations for ASEAN is to reduce the contribution to GHG emission by around 1% from adopting practices and green value chain. We also have some indicators, for instance, blue economy, focus on fishery. The indicator also focus on the global food security index, and then the prevalence of the food insecurity. So we try to ensure that a 10% increase in individuals having access to sufficient, safe, affordable, and quality foods by 2030, and around 50% increase in 2040. So in general, in ASEAN, the policy already there. The futures, the vision for 2045, including the plan of action for food, agriculture, and forestry 2026 and 2030 is already there. So our focus is focusing on how to work with the different partners, like JIRCAS Master Plan, right? How we can apply technology in our sector to increase productivity and in a sustainable manner. So we expected that by this symposium, we can share more information, right? So that we can promote the coordination between Japan and ASEAN in order to apply the good technologies. And I believe that's for this project, right? Because you also come to the country, not just only the technology from Japan, but you come to the ASEAN region and to adapt and to make sure that the technology also work in our meeting, in our region. So with that, I would like to thank all of you again, right? I thank JIRCAS Master Plan for inviting us to this event, and we look forward to the discussion. Thank you.
Dr. Minh, thank you very much. And please welcome our final keynote speaker, Mr. Hideki Hagiwara, Counselor, Deputy Director General for Environment, Ministry of Agriculture, Forestry and Fisheries, Japan. So, Mr. Hagiwara, please.
Distinguished guests, good afternoon. I'm Hideki Hagiwara from Ministry of Agriculture, Forestry, Fishery of Japan. It is a great honor to be given this opportunity to present at today's symposiums. Today, let me explain ASEAN-Japan Midori Cooperation Plan based on the presentation materials. Please look at the screen. Japan has experienced record-breaking hot weather this summer, with the impact of agriculture production becoming impossible to be ignored. We have also increasingly come across news reports of heavy rain and other extreme weather events in ASEAN member states that appear to be linked to climate change. At the same time, the global situation, including political development, is becoming increasingly unstable. As the global population continues to grow, as you know, the competition for food is increasing, and this is starting to threaten food security. While we recognize that there is no one-size-fits-all solution to these risks that can be applied globally, I am confident that ASEAN and Japan, which share similar environment and agricultural conditions, have many areas in which we can work together. With this regard, at the first meeting of ASEAN-Japan ministers on agriculture forestry in 2023, we adopted ASEAN-Japan Midori Cooperation Plan, and we have implemented various projects of technology developed by Japan. 2 years have passed since its adoption of Midori Cooperation Plan. This year, Japan has formulated ASEAN Food, Agriculture and Forestry Secretarial Plan. Dr. Minh already mentioned. Japan has also incorporated the framework of this ASEAN-Japan Midori Cooperation Plan into Japan's new basic plan of food, agriculture, and rural area, which is revised every 5 years. In light of this development, the ASEAN-Japan Midori Cooperation Plan was revised following discussion at the second meeting of Agriculture Japan Minister of Agriculture Forestry on October 2nd. The agreement of ASEAN members are reached. In this revision, we have added new projects, so I'd like to introduce some of them. I'd like to introduce 4 key points of new projects, first of all. First, regarding green gas reduction technology, we will contribute to reducing emission through the dissemination of AWD technology and other measures, while also considering the application of JCM. In terms of effort to enhance food productivity in the ASEAN region, we will contribute to through strengthening statistical information, building capacity for resource management, and promoting technology transfer. With respect to implementation research institute achievement, we will work towards realization innovation agriculture through the serious implementation of new agriculture technologies. Finally, regarding the dissemination of smart agriculture technology by the private sector, Japanese companies have shown stronger interest in South Asia, and we aim to contribute to improving productivity through this initiative. Next, I'd like to introduce some of the individual projects. First is a paddy field water level monitoring and the AWD pilot project. Japanese companies launched AWD demonstration project in some ASEAN member states. We are collaborating with research institutions in Japan and Philippines to integrate this model into JCM methodology. Local partnership in South Asia support further modeling and development. And the next is the development of the green gas emission reduction technology by establishing a large paddy area water management system. JST and JIRCAS are jointly implementing this project as satraps. This project will establish a methodology to efficiently measure, support, report, and verify methane emission from the rice paddies in the target area by utilizing ICT such as tower observation and drones. The next project is for AFRISIS geospatial information support. This project is expected to contribute to improving agriculture statistics in ASEAN member states by using satellite data, enhancing the usability of food security information through geospatial virtualization and capacity building for satellite data analysis and related skills. And the next is the improvement of rice paddy area statistics and damage assessment using Earth observation satellite for ASEAN. This project is funded by JIFU and utilizes Japanese radar satellite and software developed by JAXA, namely INOHOR, International ASEAN Harvest Monitoring System for Rice. This project is to validate and transfer an innovative analytical method to improve rice crop statistics on planted and flooded damaged paddy area of the ASEAN member states within the AFRISIS framework. Next is development of stock assessment method, and strengthening of resource management measures for tropical area in Southeast Asia. This project is to estimate resource stock status of the tropical arid EU species through data collection, including field survey funded by JIFU. This project will establish the management system for EU resources and contribute to appropriate science-based measure in ASEAN member states. Next is development of smart green horticulture technology that enable the development of highly productive environment control technology. This project is to develop an environment control system for the hot and humid environment of the ASEAN region and to demonstrate the improvement of production and profit of high quality Japanese agriculture products. Next is global application, next generation biomass upcycling technology. The goal of this project is to develop and demonstrate next generation biomass upcycling technologies that transform palm production into sustainable industries. In particular, this project reduces environmental impact by utilizing diverse and vast amount of unused palm biomass discharged in the palm oil production process as a sustainable and highly value-added resources, such as fuel pellets, wood substitutions, biomethanes. Next is the soil restoration and carbon removal with high-performance biochar. The application of high-performance biochar enriched with selective beneficial soil microwaves is expected to enhance soil and boost crop yield. It is also fixed carbon in soil, contributing to reduce atmospheric CO2. Next is the support for DX, GX, and the value chain linkage in agriculture cooperatives. In this project, Japanese company is promoting digital transformation and the green transformation of agriculture cooperatives through a public-private partnership approach in collaboration with relevant government agency in Vietnam. Based on this result, they intend to explore and assess the feasibility of expanding the PPP approach to the other ASEAN member states. Next is solving problem of livestock farmers by using IoT technologies. This project is support livestock farmers in solving their problem through data by visualizing condition with IoT data, IoT-based cattle behavior monitoring system. This allows for precise graphs of each cattle's conditions and strong support for livestock farmers management. Furthermore, in addition to the ASEAN-Japan Midori Cooperation Plan, MAF formulated initiative for net zero carbon with the food security through international expansion of innovative technology, Midori Infinity, to globally develop Japanese innovation, GHG emission reduction technology that contribute to food security in this way. This initiative showcase innovative technology such as AWD, biochar, and cashew nut cell liquid for feed additive. The revised ASEAN-Japan Midori Cooperation Plan future project utilizing this technology. ASEAN-Japan Midori Cooperation Plan includes many other projects. Through this initiative, we aim to contribute to building a reliant and sustainable agriculture and food system across the ASEAN region. Thank you, pay attention, and thank you very much for your kind attention. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So this concludes keynote speeches, and we will move on to the next lecture.